everybody. Good evening, and welcome back to another grad interview. Tonight, we are interviewing Jade. Jade is a recent grad, and so we're going to hear her story. We're going to hear, her experience with Pretty Focused and what her business looks like now. And so, if you are coming in, I want you to drop in the comments. Let us know you're here, say present. Let's do roll call. Jade, does that bring you back? Did you do roll call as a teacher?
Roll start with attendance. Has to be done within the first hour of class.
Absolutely. That's right. So we're taking attendance here. Jade is a former teacher. What grade did you teach, Jade?
Second. I actually started in special education and then I switched to second grade. Yeah. Second grade is a special place. I love that age.
Yes.
I honestly love it.
Yes. I did. I came in, get this, January of the school year.
That's tough coming in the mid-year.
Into kindergarten.
Ooh.
It was rough.
Praying that they know it by then.
I was like a fresh grad. I had graduated from college a month before that, right? So I'm green as they can get. And and then the next year, thank God, they had mercy on me and moved me to second grade because that. Oof.
At least you go in with a lot of optimism because you're just like, yeah, I got this. Like, I'm fresh. I know I have the skills. Like, I have student tie, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my goodness. So how long did you teach?
Oh, geez. So I actually worked in the schools for a few years prior to getting my teaching certificates as a teacher assistant. And so altogether, I was in the public schools for 9.5 years, almost 10. Yeah.
When did you leave teaching?
May of 22. It was my son. I had one more year with my son before he started kindergarten. And I'm like, I got to be home with him. I got to be with my baby before he goes to kindergarten. I don't get these days back with him. And fortunately, I had my mom. And she kind of was like, Jade, you need to be doing this. She had been talking to me since she got into it. Like, Jade, you need to check this out. You need to check this out. I'm like, Mom, I'm a teacher. Like, this is my job right now. How can I leave my career? I have this certificate. Like, I'm making the money. Like, how can I step away from that right now? And then as I'm like, wait, my son starts kindergarten in 1 year, or at this time it was about 2 years, year and a half. I need to be home. I need to figure something else out. And so that's when I kind of was like, hey, Mom, tell me a little more.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like, why would you, the thought, I mean, you're like, I've got the degree, I've got the certificate, I'm a teacher, this is what I do. I mean, whenever your son was young, you just worked, right? I mean, that's just what you do. Was there any part of you during that time that wanted to stay at home with him, or was it just
all the time? Of course, all the time. Thankfully, my mom at that time was a stay-at-home grandma, so she was our babysitter. So I would take him to her house every morning, and then she there were a couple days where she'd bring him to work with me, and my students loved that. Like, he was there for lunch with me, and they got there a little early, and they just oohed and awed over him. He was kind of like our class mascot.
I love
that. Yeah, they were always drawing pictures, making notes for him. And I have like a little stash for when he gets older. So like his first birthday, everybody wrote him a happy birthday card, and it was just so cute. But so my mom was a stay-at-home grandma. So she was the one that took care of my son at that time, all through up until he was 4. And I'm very thankful that I had her to be able to do that, because somebody who has like postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression, like the thought of leaving my baby with somebody else was really hard. So it helped to know that he was with my mom, but it still wasn't me. And I wanted to be home, and deep in my heart, I really wanted to be home. But I also knew that I needed to set this example of working hard and making the money. And, we've got now a college career or a college education. We're going to be helping him, and maybe a wedding eventually. And, and then we wanted to move into a bigger house. That way we could grow as a family. And it just, to me in the moment, it made more sense to be a teacher. But then looking back, I'm like, I could have had that time at home doing this, and I just could have been doing this the whole time.
Yeah.
I just needed to bite the bullet and take a leap of faith.
That's the leap of faith.
Yes.
It's so hard when you're faced with that. I understand that completely.
I have to say it really was a leap of faith, because the moment I left work, my husband mid-year got a random raise. He never gets one in the middle of the year. He got a random raise. And I was like, okay, some higher power, whether you believe in God or whoever, this is the right path. This is it. And every moment where we're like, we need a little extra money, I've had random emails come in. Jade, I need some extra work this month. Are you able to do it? I'm like, yes, I will take it. And honestly, it is totally my faith that I believe like this was my path. This was what I'm meant to be doing at this time in my life. So it's been really fun to see that.
That is incredible. And so those of you listening, you're like, where does her mom come into play? Her mom keeps convincing her of this. Well, her mom is actually a pretty focused grad as well. And Rebecca, she's in the comments, and she's got a really cool story. We've interviewed her several months ago. At this point now, it's all a blur. But they just released a cookbook, so she's kind of had her own little path. But Rebecca, as a stay-at-home grandma, was doing pretty focused, earning income, and was just pulled you in to this. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience going through the course? Were you you were not, did you quit? Let me ask you, did you quit teaching before you went through the course? Okay. All right. So that was, you're like, I'm done. So you had more time to devote to the course, not teaching. Okay.
Yes.
So tell me about that. Tell me about the content. Tell me what you learned. Tell me what was difficult. What was great. Tell me everything.
Yeah. So I started with 0 camera experience. I picked up the camera for the first time to take my homework assignment, like to shoot for my homework. I didn't have any camera experience. I had no knowledge of it. So let me back up. I left work May of 22 was my last month of working. June, I believe I signed up in May to start the course. Okay. And I'm like, well, let me just look into it. Let me see what materials I need. I spent May and June accumulating all those things and making sure I had what I needed to be able to be successful in the course. And for me, like since I was doing all of my homework assignments at night, just because that's what fit my schedule, I needed that artificial lighting. And it just, like I said, it made more sense for me to invest in that at that point. So
absolutely. Yes.
And I finally dove in, I believe it was July of 22, when I submitted my first assignment. It was either end of June, beginning of July. And I officially graduated March of 23. So, it took that long. But I was able to rely on those videos and the assignments to learn about my camera. Like, I had no idea what ISO, what f-stop, what aperture. I'm like, what is that? And I literally had a notebook with what each one, like, defined each one. I would literally go back, like, okay, what is that number? What do I need to do here? And I would also go back and rewatch the videos just because like that's just my learning style. I like to rewatch and re-listen. And so I made it through all the way up until like I made it through all my homework assignments pretty quickly. I was like, I'm cranking these out. Like I want to get this done. I am full steam ahead. I am ready to learn. And then I would post, I'm like, I need to go back and reread this one. And like, I needed to reread this one. And I like more for my understanding because I wanted to make sure I was walking away with all of the knowledge I needed to and not just trying to rush through it.
Yeah.
And then I finally got to my portfolio. I think I started working on my portfolio either October or November. So pretty quickly after starting, maybe even September. I don't remember exactly, but I started working on my portfolio. And again, I was just doing them. I was still trying to find the right schedule that fit my life with my kids. And, you know, like with a,
welcome
at the
to
time,
the club.
I had a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. And when I first started, I'm like, how am I going to juggle all of this? Like, they kept coming over. What are you doing? And like grabbing things off my table. So like I said, the best time for me was after bedtime, after they went to bed. So, I did have moments where I'm like, needed to step away, take a deep breath. But then I was able to dive back in and like, you know what? I see what they're saying. I know that I can do this. I know that it's challenging because it's a new language that I'm learning. Like I have no idea what any of this means or but just taking the moment, stepping back and remembering like why I'm doing it in the first place. The sooner I can work through this, the sooner I can graduate, the sooner I can start becoming a work from home mom. And that was my goal in the end is I want my kids not only to be able to actually see me working, but to also know that I'm helping provide an income. And so it's been a great experience. And now I'm so thankful that I took those moments back then to go back and reread or rewatch or ask those questions or reshoot a session. There were times where I'm like, I don't want to reshoot this. I'm done. I want to move on. But I'm like, no, I need to go back and reshoot this because I'm learning. Like it's gonna pay off. And let me tell you, it has paid off. It has paid off. And I'm so thankful for that.
You know, I read a comment from somebody who's in their portfolio review process, and she said that, you know, she's recently had a mindset shift of as she's going through the course or as she's building her portfolio, instead of just saying, how fast can I get through this? How fast can I check off the list? She's saying, I'm now thinking, how can I add value to my clients?
Exactly.
And I think that is I was like, that is so good because we just see like this end and we just want to get done. And that's completely understandable. We just want to move it. You check it off the list and move on because who doesn't love a good checkbox, right? You know, who doesn't love a good list that they can just feel accomplished, but the real work starts after. And so if you just rush through this whole entire process, you've missed a lot. You've missed a lot of value. And like she said, she can focus on how can I add value? I'm going to redo this because I know at the end of the day, this extra practice is going to make me better. That's going to add value to somebody, you know, to my clients.
You can really see it in your work. The amount of work that you're putting in too. And I've gone back and I've looked at sessions during my portfolio where I'm just trying to rush and get it done because I'm either like, you know, just trying to rush. And I've gone back and looked, I'm like, oh, well, that's off. Like, and now like just take your time and absorb it and embrace it and learn everything. And it'll pay off, and it's going to be hard. It's not going to be hard. It might be challenging at first, but
Might be challenging.
anything new is going to be challenging. It's a learning curve, and it's growing pains, and you're going to be thankful that you did it.
Yeah.
In the long run, you're going to be thankful that you took that extra time.
Yeah. I recently heard somebody say, like, if your goals aren't big enough, right? If it's not, you know, if it's not big enough, if it's not scary, right? Then, or if it's not hard, then it's not a big enough goal. Like, you need to reach just a little bit further, just a little bit more. And so, that's
and as a teacher, I kept thinking, like, this is how my students were feeling when I was teaching them how to regroup addition or regroup subtraction or how to do this or they had that same frustration as, you know, because it was a learning curve for them, and it was a learning curve for me, having zero camera experience and having to learn it all from the beginning, and not having that camera experience when I first jumped in. But it also just doesn't show. It also shows you that, my gosh, I lost my train of thought. It also shows you that, so sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You're okay.
I read a comment and I was like, wait, I started reading. No, okay. Just threw me
I know
off.
what you mean. Those comments.
Yes, it was able to show me how they were feeling as a student, because I was able to just kind of take that and learn from that too.
Yep, absolutely. I have so much respect for people, and I'm just in awe of our students, you know, students like you who have never picked up a camera before, never in their wildest dreams would they shift to a career in food photography, right? But you did it. Like, it's overwhelming. It can feel overwhelming learning a new language, right? Because that's what you're doing, you know, but then you continually do it and you keep showing up for the process, like, and you keep showing up over and over and over again. I'm on this thing right now with the 20-mile march. I don't think I have the book around here. It's somewhere. Jim Collins and Great by Choice. He's the author of Good to Great. I don't know if anybody has read that book or is familiar with the Good to Great books. He talks about the 10X leaders in companies that went through, like, the ups and downs and turmoils and how they came out on top. One of them was, like, the first example that comes to my mind right now is, because that's just where I'm at in the book right now, is Southwest. And, like, in the 90s, all the things that Southwest went through, you know, there's, you know, hijackings of, 9/11, and then there's gas prices, and there's stuff, right? There's stuff. And they came out not just like, okay, we survived. They came out 10 times the market. And so he talks about these characteristics of these 10X leaders. And one of the characteristics is, like, this 20-mile march. That's what he calls it. It's like 20 miles every day. You got 20 miles, no more, no less. Right. And a lot of people want to just not do anything, and they want to give up, and they don't want to do anything. They don't want to march at all.
Yeah. But and they expect to still have the same end result.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And so that is a big characteristic of an achiever, of a 10X leader, of somebody who's not okay with just getting by, right? And it's every day. And the stories that he tells are really cool too. But it's just like, every day you take that 20 miles, you're not doing less than that. And you know what? You're not doing more than that either. That's the other thing too, is that sometimes we try to bite off too much and then start to feel overwhelmed, and then you get too tired, and then you need to take a week off.
That
right?
burnout. Yeah.
And you're burnt out, and then you're just even further from your goal then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I think that's so what you did, and picking up a camera, never having done that before, and then
Yeah.
faithfully like doing your march, right?
Yep.
To get across
Yep.
the finish line and like look at where you're at now.
Yeah.
It's
And I
pretty
feel like
fantastic.
I did it in a reasonable amount of time from,
Yeah.
we'll say July 1st to mid to end March.
Mhm.
Is a decent amount of time. And it's a reasonable
Yeah.
amount of time. And yeah, and
That was what you
I'm
needed,
yeah,
right?
yep. It was
That was what you
exactly
needed.
perfect for me. And yeah, it's like I said, it's paid off.
Good. So how is business going for you now? How has it been
Good.
since March?
So my first employer was my mom. So I did do some work for her.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. Just more to like keep practicing my skills after graduation, like making sure I've got it and making sure I have that confidence. And so thankful to have that opportunity to be able to do that, because she could come back, she could call me on my phone, or we actually have a routine now where she'll come over once, maybe twice a week and watch the kids while I shoot. Or I'll go to her house and she'll watch my kids once or twice while I shoot at her house. And so I have that buddy. And then in May, so I graduated in March. In May, I started talking with my mom, and we came to, I was just like, I think I'm ready to venture out, start building my clientele, start figuring out my style, just start learning, not learning, but like, you're always learning after graduating. And I feel like I was just ready to venture out. I was ready to start building my own clientele list. And so I got with another blogger in June, and then I did quite a bit of work for her throughout June, and then we decided that we needed to move on to another blogger. So I moved on to another blogger, and she and I clicked, but it just wasn't quite ready yet. And then August was a little bit of a quieter month, I think. Now she's too busy to work for me. Well, so August was a bit
This is
of a
Mom,
slower,
everybody.
yeah. Not too busy. I still work for her here and there. But so August was a bit of a quieter month for bloggers. I think I had talked to you about that. I reached out to you like, hey, I haven't heard back from any bloggers. Like, what's going on? And I think it was just that time of year. It was transition from season to season, from holiday to holiday, back to school, holidays or like vacations for people. And I was like, what do I do? And so thankfully, I had somebody else reach out, and she and I have been working. I did quite a bit of work for her in September and October, and then I had another blogger as well. So I've been working, actually, including my mom. I've worked for 3 different bloggers over the last 2 months, and and it's not that I'm doing, tons of full-time work. I am doing it part-time because I am home. I want to be with my kids. So I have 3 part-time bloggers that I'm working for that I do, I don't know, 1 to 2 a week, or 2 to 3 a week, 2 to 3 a week. And that includes, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
So I do, I have it down where I know I can do 2 to 3 recreations a week. If I need to do exclusives, I can do about 1 to 2 a week. And I know that that's how my schedule, I just know my schedule, and I know that that's how it fits.
Absolutely.
And I know, I have a calendar in my, right next to my studio where I can write it all out and map it all out, and I know what will work. So, and then that's kind of where we're at right now. And I mean, now it's October, and we're going to be gone quite a bit the second half of October. But these two bloggers had given me enough work from September that fed into October. So tomorrow is my last day shooting, and I'm done for the month. Like,
Wow.
you know, I made, I want to say, I have to look at my numbers again. It was about $1,300 in these last 2 weeks. So,
wow.
Yeah. And I'm, like I said, I'm done for the month now. And, after this week, and then that gives me the next 2 weeks available because we're going to be in and out of town. And then it's also my birthday and then Halloween, and we're going to have Halloween activities all rest of the month. So I made sure to get all my work done before those dates come.
You just get to be mom.
I get to be mom. I get to go trick-or-treating and go Halloween costume shopping, and we're going camping next weekend. We're actually going hunting, but hunting, camping, and I get to pack and prep for that. And, you know, if I need to go get groceries for that trip, I can go do it, you know?
Yeah.
My son had his tonsils and adenoids out, and I get to be home with him, not having to worry about calling in for a sub, not worrying about having to make sure a sub shows up to my classroom, because that's happened where no sub shows up.
Oh gosh.
Making sure that my students are all written out where my sub knows what to expect. Like, I don't have to worry about that. Like, if I need to take a sick day, I can take a sick day. And I love the ability to be able to do that. When my kids are sick, they want mom, and they get to have mom. And so I'm thankful for that.
I love that. I mean, you don't even realize, I think, the stress that puts on. Because, I mean, he was 4 when you left. So for 4 years, you had that stress, like whenever he was sick, of having to call
my mom
in,
would watch. My mom would have to watch him. And then there would be times where she's like, Jade, he wants mom. Like, he's not feeling well. And she's like, I'm happy to take care of him. And I'm happy to, you know, mommy him, but in the end, he wants mom. And so, and obviously she doesn't want to get sick too. So,
right.
She's like,
I love him, but
keep him little.
Don't want to share everything with him.
And then, so I would call out, and if I called out too late, there'd be days where a sub wouldn't show up because it was too late. And there's a sub shortage right now in the district. And then I had to also make sure that there were sub plans written out. So if I didn't have my work set out the day before, my teammate would have to gather it together, or she would, I would have emergency work put together, but it caused more stress trying to take a day off than it was to just go in. Just let me go in. It was hard. And I have a background with behavioral children. And so I had a couple children in my classroom that were a little bit more to manage. And so the stress about making sure I have extra notes written about them because they can't be together in certain times, and you have to watch this and watch that, and don't let them do this, or if this happens, you need to make sure this happens, and then making sure my sub or my teammate knows. And
I mean, you feel, especially as a teacher, you feel such a responsibility to these kids. You're showing up every day. You're part of these kids' lives for 7 hours a day. You feel such a responsibility to them, but at the same time, your own children need you. That's so hard. Yes. So I'm so glad that you don't have to do that anymore. Sad that there's one less amazing teacher out there, but so great for your family.
And when the time comes, maybe I'll go back into teaching. You never know. For right now, this is where I need to be. And those children, I my students become my children, and I think about them every single day. The ones from the very first class I had. And Now
Yep.
I'm thankful that I get to make that same impact with my own kids now, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I'm still in touch with some of my kids. One of them, my absolute favorite. Yes, we have favorites. Okay. Just going to say it. We have favorites. And so he's turning 20 at the end of this month. And
Hmm.
that's makes me so sad because, I mean, his mom worked at the school. She and I were close friends. He was like the ring bearer in our wedding.
Hmm.
And
Hmm. How sweet.
yeah, so I know what you mean where you just love those kids. You just love
Hmm.
them, but at the same time, your kids need you too. So
Yeah.
your own
Yeah.
kid, your own kids, right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
so tell like, I mean, we can kind of get a sense of how life is different now, but how has life changed for you now? I mean, is there anything else you want to elaborate on?
Well, I get to sleep in now. So I don't have to wake up super early anymore to take my kid all the way over there so I can come back over here so I can go back to work. Oh, so that's been a great game changer. But um, overall, I feel like I found myself. Like,
Mm,
it's hard getting up, going into the classroom. You're always you always have a front and you always have to be on stage all the time. And it was so exhausting and it was so
mm,
easy to get burnout. And I always made really like big relationships with my students. And I got so emotionally invested, especially my more challenging students. And those are end up becoming like the ones that really stick in my mind that I think about all the time. Like, how are they doing? What are they going? Like, oh, I hope
yeah.
they're doing okay. I hope this, I hope that. But I'm not so emotionally exhausted anymore because by the time I would get home from teaching, I still have to be on stage. And now I have to be emotionally present with my own kids. And that's what was
Oh,
draining me,
yeah.
where I got to the point where I felt so bad for going out and having a mom's night out because or going out on a date without
Yeah.
my kids because like I don't have time with him as it is.
Yeah.
And any time that I do have with my kids, I felt like I needed to be home and be present. And so I was getting so burnt out and I was at a point where I just needed to be home. And now that I'm home, I can feel like it's okay to step away and, go to a movie with a friend or go on a date with my husband. My husband and I just went to Iowa for 5 nights, 6 days for the first time. That's the longest I've ever
Wow.
been away from my kids. And it was so nice. It was like I didn't feel that guilt of I need to be home with them. I don't have enough time with them. Now I have that time with them and I can
Yeah.
I know I've already talked like I can go do things with them. I can take them to the zoo and it's not a holiday. Like and it's
Right.
not packed. I can, go to the aquarium. I can do fun things with my kids
Yeah.
and feel like in the middle of the week and it's just a breath of fresh air. I feel personally like internally after graduating from Pretty Focused, having like especially these last couple months, having these couple bloggers, I just we all work so well together and I my style just fits them. And I just got an email yesterday and the blogger's like, "Hey Jade, I just had a chance to look at everything and it's gorgeous. Thank you so much." And like I've never had a blogger come back and tell me you need to fix this. You need to do this different. I need you to add that. Like, our styles just click together and
I
it
love that.
works and it's great. It fits my schedule. It fits their schedule. And it's been great. And like I've said,
I
it's a
love
breath
that.
of fresh air. It's just
Yeah.
to be able to just be me. I get to
Yeah.
discover me. and going to work every single day and becoming that emotionally draining, I felt like I was losing myself. Like going through that postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, going through all of that. And then COVID hit, and now I'm pregnant and teaching from home. And it was all really hard. And now that I've stepped back, I've got my own schedule, I've got my own agenda. I can pick and choose how much I want to work or how little I want to work. I know that it's so life changing. It's a breath of fresh air. I know I've said that now 3 or 4 times, but I can't say it enough. It's just, it's been life saving.
Yeah. What, when you talked about like you knew your why at the end of it, were you picturing like at the end of graduation, at the end, what were you picturing life to look like? You're like, I mean, you were working with your mom kind of as you were going through, so you were also gaining some of that experience. But did you have like this picture in mind of what it would be like when you graduated?
I tried to create a picture, and I didn't have a specific vision of what I wanted. I did have something at one point, though. I started working on a while ago, and I stepped back, and my best friend since kindergarten, so almost 30 years, or like 28, 29 years, we picked it back up and we started our own blog. And so I'm starting to venture out, and she's doing crafts and science activities, and I'm doing food and drinks, and it's all family oriented. It's all family friendly. It's all around the kids. And I just had this calling a few years back, and I tried to start it a couple years ago, and I just couldn't do it by myself. I didn't have the skills. And it was a little bit of a different topic, but same relative idea. And then just a couple months ago, May, she came to me. She's like, Jade, I really want to do like science videos for kids. And she's a biology major. And I'm like, hey, let's do it. We've been friends since kindergarten. So we know how we work together. And now we've started our own blog. We literally just started it in September. So it's still growing.
It's still baby, right?
It's still a baby. But I mean, we're doing it. And so now I'm juggling my blog on top of 2 or 3 other bloggers, but I can make it work. I figure it out. And so it's been, that's my vision now, is I eventually want to do that full time.
Well, look, you're just following your mom's footsteps.
I know.
Right?
I know.
I love that.
And it works because, like I've said before, she's my buddy, like where I'm able to reach out to her and be like, Mom, do you know how I can do this? Especially the blogging side. Like that's a whole nother language on top of the photography language, on top of everything else.
Yeah.
So, and I went to her, and that's how I kind of got the idea. It's like, Mom, I need to do something that involves being a mom. Like that's my calling right now. I love kids. I know how to work with kids. I know how to talk with, like, I love children, and I love my children specifically, but,
good,
but thanks. But, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. So it just so happens where my friend was like, gee, this is what I want to do. I'm like, I have an idea. Let's do this. And it just kind of, we got the ball rolling. We did a little bit of a test run in July, and we had really good test run. And September, we started it, and it was an amazing month. And so, again, it's still a baby, but yeah. So I'm eventually starting to become my own blogger.
That is so great. I love that so much. So is this, I mean, when you thought about joining Pretty Focused, is it, and the outcome, is it what you thought it was going to be? or
um,
is it different? It like being on the other side of it and like how you pictured life,
yeah,
like on the other side of and
yeah.
going through that. How is it what you thought
To
it was
be
going to be?
honest, I didn't know what to expect because
Okay.
I had a career and I knew what to expect every day. And now this is the first time I didn't have a job in since I was in high school. Like
Yeah.
I've always had a job. I've always had a career of some sort. And so this was the first time where I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be like. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm going to do it. I know if nothing else, I'm going to work for my mom. Like if nothing
Yeah.
else, I had that fallback for me. Um and if and I had her support.
Yeah.
Um and as I started progressing through the course, I started getting more and more clear idea of what it's going to look like. I know um, selling exclusives is not my strong suit, and I'm
That's
working on
okay.
that. I have
Yeah.
that class I've signed up for a couple months ago, and I need to finish listening to it. But I know doing recreations and exclusives for bloggers, for specific bloggers, or recipe writing. Um, I know I can do those really well.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
now that I've found my niche, I can see this is what I'm going to do. This is how I can do it, and it's my strength. So
Yeah. Good.
yeah,
I love that. Um, so recreations, the exclusives, that's something that people ask a lot. Is like, do I have to develop recipes for people? Because that can feel intimidating. And
it
nope,
can be. Yes,
it can be, absolutely. But no, you do not have to do that. So there's bloggers that do hire,
and I
recreations.
just started doing
And
the recipes recently. I've only did recreations up until
yeah,
July.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. So do you feel like you have freedom?
oh yeah.
Do you feel like you have flexibility?
Oh yes.
Do you feel like the world around you has changed?
Yes, I feel like the way I see the world has changed too.
Yeah.
It's different. It's different.
Yeah.
It's
Good, different.
freeing. It's not like this heavy weight on my shoulder. Um,
Yeah.
like I said to you earlier, the moment I quit, my husband got a very random, spontaneous mid-year raise, which he never gets. He only gets them at the end of the year, and he got it in June.
Wow.
And that's when I was like,
Yep.
this is
This was
this
the
is
right choice.
this is the right choice. This is what I needed to
Confirmed.
be doing. And
That's amazing.
it wasn't enough to like take up my salary or anything, but it was enough to just kind of give us a little extra support. And then throughout after graduating,
Hmm.
anytime I needed a job, um, or times where I'll never forget it in September, I had a blogger that I was working for, and then I was also working for my mom. So I had two bloggers. My car needed new tires and an alignment. And I'm like, this is $1,400 suddenly out of nowhere that we have to pay for. And my husband's like, Jade, is there any way you could pick up extra work? I'm like, he was gone for half of September taking care of his dad in Iowa. I was going to be
Hmm.
leaving for a few days. I'm like, I can try. Yeah, it's kind of short notice, but I can try and find some extra work. I get a spontaneous email from the blogger I was working for in July saying, Jade, I have some extra work I need somebody to do. Can you do it? It's like, you got it. I'll do it. And it was, like I said, just a spontaneous, out of the blue. I didn't
Wow.
reach out to her. And because I was
That's
already, it was
amazing.
like, it was either the same day or the very next day. And I'm like, again, these are just like little signs
Yep.
that just show me
You're doing
that
it.
I'm where I need to be at the moment.
Absolutely.
In this phase in
Absolutely.
my life, I'm exactly where I need to be.
Yeah. Whenever I think of pretty focused grads, it's not just somebody who's finished a course. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just somebody who finished a course. It's
Yeah.
somebody who is in search of freedom and is somebody who is looking to change the world around them. Like you're a business owner. Like you are not a grad of an online course. You are now a business owner. You have, there's stuff that comes with that, right? There's more different responsibilities that come with that. But when you're working for yourself, the freedom, the flexibility, like you talked about, the weight being lifted off of your shoulders of you're finding yourself, right? You have the freedom and the flexibility to just be you.
Yes.
And just to show up for your family, who is your number one priority right now. And so whenever I think of pretty focused grads, like I have so much respect for people who are going through this, who are graduating, especially those who've never picked up a camera before, because they know at the end what they want. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They want the freedom and they're like fighting for it. That's why I'm like they're chasing freedom. I put it on a t-shirt.
That's exactly what it feels like. I am fighting for this. I did not stop. I didn't give up, no matter how frustrated I became. And I'm like, this is just so much to take in. I didn't stop. And that's where it just, it was just extra. It's just, it means so much that I thank myself, my past self, because if I did stop, I wouldn't have, like you said, the march, what was it? The
20-mile march.
20-mile march. Yeah. I knew what I wanted and I wasn't going to get it just sitting and staring at the screen, just looking at the camera. I needed to do it. I needed to get my hands dirty and roll up my sleeves and just get the work done.
Yeah.
No matter how many times I failed and needed to redo a shoot, Lindsay, no matter how frustrated I got, I did it because I knew it was what was better. And it paid off. So
it's a part of rejecting good for great, which is one of our not qualities, values. There we go. One of our values is that we want to reject good for great. I forgot the word. Of just, you know what, this is good, but can I make it great?
Yeah.
And I think that's how it's so important to make sure that you're striving for that. So we have some questions. I know I can't believe it's almost been an hour already. This is insane.
I know.
It just went by so fast. But Joanne wants to know, what was your biggest aha moment? And what one thing in your studio could you not live without? What's your favorite prop and dish? So she put 3. She crammed 3 in that one for you. So let's start with what was your biggest aha moment?
Oh, when I finally figured out the settings on my camera. Once I got those down, it just clicked. And then, so that was just the camera. But then as far as the course and learning everything, that one's kind of tough. My biggest aha, I would say, is relax. Like, to figure out that it's not as stressful as it seems. Just relax and have fun with it. And making sure that, like, you have everything planned ahead. And I'm a very spontaneous person. I like to do spontaneous things. And so planning isn't always my biggest specialty.
Me too.
So to go in and hero hack ahead of time, that was a big aha moment where I'm just like, once I have those visuals in my head of exactly what I want, I'll even have it up on my computer next to me as I'm shooting. Like, okay, I got that one. I got that one. I got that one. I got that one. That was a big game changer too. Yeah. What was her other? Oh, a prop that in my studio.
Yeah. I'll put that back up.
A prop in my studio. Well, an assortment of linens. I tend to use blue. Blue goes with like everything.
So much.
And a variety of blues,
So
not
much.
just one blue,
Yeah.
but like 10
Yep.
different blues. And I'm so thankful I have my mom up the road where I go shopping in her prop cupboard
Yeah.
all the time.
Are
I'm like,
you-
Mom, I
are
need this
you-
color.
Are you in the same neighborhood she is?
No, I'm like 15 minutes north.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Because I'm like right across the street from your mom. At Signal. I'm at Signal.
We're there all the
Butte,
time. So.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, your mom
we're in
lives
Red
like
Mountain.
a mile from me. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So we live in Red Mountain, so not too far. 10 minutes.
Okay.
What
are the crossroads?
I'm right off of like the 202 in Brown.
Okay, that's
right behind,
okay. Nice.
Like Red Mountain High School.
Yeah.
Where that is. Right behind them.
Okay.
So what's that?
We have so many Arizona people.
I know.
So many.
The other thing is an assortment of plates. Not like big plates, but like smaller plates. And Target right now actually has quite a few really cute ones that are like maybe $4 a plate.
That's awesome.
Shopping at Mom's. Yeah, so Target has some really good ones. And the at-home store had some really good ones. And I just went in. I was using the same, like 2 different plates. Like I think one was from my mom and one I had from Goodwill. I was using them over and over. And I ended up just recently going to Target and at home and got some really good plates that are like just perfect sizes and different colors and shapes and really cute.
Yeah. I have maybe like, I have the salad plates. I use the big dinner plates for like serving platters because our dinner plates, first of all, are huge.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
But I use those more for platters, but then we use like the salad plates if I'm going to be doing a main course.
I just saw somebody ask.
Oh, what did you say? Oh, they just asked about the multiple plates.
I said I saw somebody ask the 2 plates. I always buy 3. I buy 3 of everything.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got 3 of everything
because it just makes more sense.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So
it makes more sense to have 3. So I buy 3s, and I know it throws off numbers because people will buy 4s and 6s, but 3s.
Yeah. Well, odds. We want to work in odds, so that's always good. So there's a little bit of a lag here. So I hope that I hope we get caught up here.
Okay. Hopefully it went away.
It says did it go away?
My kids might be watching Netflix now.
So Redonda said, I got here late, but did you share the photo she shared with her child in her backpack on her back today? So what did you guys do today?
I started a shoot yesterday. I actually started a shoot. So I have my grandmother, and I think you might know my grandma. I know my grandma knows your parents very well. Linda Trombley. So I have my grandma come over every Tuesday, and she watches my kids for like 2 hours just because it gives her that little extra time to be with them.
Yeah.
And so when she was here yesterday, I started a shoot, realized I forgot the ginger. So I ended up having to transition and start another shoot because I already had everything for that one. And I wasn't able to get it finished because I started later because I had to transition. So I got my ingredient and my process shots done, but then I wasn't able to get my heroes done until today. So today I was by myself with my kids, and my son is on the couch just kind of relaxing, and my daughter is very mama's girl. And I did a lot of baby wearing with her when she was a baby, and she still likes to be held and run around. So she's 2.5 now, guys. Like, I don't know how to transition her out of it, but She went and dragged me into our laundry room to get the hiking backpack so she could sit in it while I'm taking pictures. So I have her on my back, take pictures, and she's wiggly. So I'm so thankful. Another ball, a tethering cable. If you don't have it, but
and that's because
I'm so thankful to have that tethering cable, because I was able to see that this photo is definitely blurry.
Yes. Oh, we good. Okay. The tethering cable, because then you don't have to hold the camera in your hand necessarily. Or are you mounting overhead, or do you still tether freehand?
I mount overhead, but then I hold it and freehand it for my 45s and my head-ons, my straight-ons.
Okay, so you do all the things, yeah. So somebody wants to know, when did you graduate? How many jobs have you had since? Is it many as you thought you would have? How soon was it? So she did talk about this, but we can go back over it again.
Yeah. So I graduated in March, end of March. I had my mom. I think I'll always have my mom as a job. Just kind of like pick up as she needs extra work, or if I need extra work, and she's able to make it work. So I always have my mom. So I don't know if I would count her, but I've had 1, 2, 3 different bloggers that I've started working for over since May to now, and 2 of them I'm still working for. So I think it's really going to depend on making sure that you're a right fit for that blogger, and that blogger is a right fit for you. There was one blogger that I found didn't have the same communicating skills that I do, that I'd like to have. And I prefer to work with somebody who is able to communicate with me, regularly.
Yeah.
And so it didn't work out for me for her, but I think it just depends on who you find that fits your style, and you find that fits their style, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So was it, the amount of bloggers you're working with now, would you like to work with more, or do you think you have a good workload right now?
I think I'm really lucky, and I have a really good workload, as long as they continue to have the work for me. I do know that some bloggers go through phases where they might step back and only shoot for themselves, or maybe they don't need any more photos this month, or maybe they're scheduled for the next 6 months. I don't know, but their schedules will flex. So as long as they need me, I got very lucky and found 2 very good bloggers that I really enjoy working for, and they seem to really enjoy working with me and enjoy my work. So I think I would stick with what I have.
Yeah. Would you want more, or do you think that would be too much? Because everybody has different, a workload and what they want. So
yeah, it would just depend on my availability. So the last couple months, October and September, there was a lot of traveling. So I knew that I could only take on 2. I would love to have more if I had that time of being able to shoot more. But I know my schedule, and I know my stress levels. And I found that I think I decided 8 recreations per month. So if I have one blogger that gave me 3, and another blogger gave me 3, and my mom threw in 1 extra, I was able to make that work. Back in June, I had one blogger give me 8 or 9. So
nice.
I only had one blogger that month, because it just made more sense. That's what fit my schedule. So if I had, 4 that gave me 2 each, I would work with all 4 for sure. But yeah, I right now, because each 2 have 3 for me, it's what fits my schedule. So I would be open to having more.
You would be open to having more. That's what's good right now is that you have you're like, I know my limits, because not everybody knows that, and they'll say yes to too many people. And so then they're overwhelmed. But so it's so good that you know what those limits are. And that
you just have to be careful, because I know my limits, and I don't want to burn any bridges. I don't want to take on too much and then not be able to deliver that to that blogger.
Absolutely.
And then have that blogger come back and be like, I don't want to work for you, and I don't want to work with you anymore. Or tell another blogger, hey, she promised this, but she doesn't follow through. So don't work for her. So I try to
that would be terrible, right? Yeah.
I know.
Sometimes something gives whenever you take on too much, and usually it's quality, because you're just trying to get through it so quickly, which is why it's like when you're working through the course, focus on the quality that you're putting out there instead of the speed on which you can get through it. And so I think that mindset carries over to whenever you're working with clients, where you can focus on the quality that you're providing versus, working 40 plus hours. I mean, they're right. And so I think that those things translate. So, so my gosh, we are over an hour. Seriously. I could keep talking and talking, and I know that everybody would probably keep asking questions and listening. So we'll do this one last question. So, oh gosh, we've got some more questions, but we can go through and answer those in the comments as well. But how long does it take you to do a recreation?
For recreations, let's see. So there is planning, there is grocery shopping, there is the prepping. So if you're talking just shoot time, I would say for me, it still takes me a little longer, because my children come in and interrupt me. So I would say 2 to 3 hours for just the shoot time. If you're talking the prep, the cleanup, the store shopping, the editing, all of that, I would say, maybe 5 to 6 hours. But I don't do that start to finish. I will grocery shop. I had all my ingredients for this week on Monday or Monday. And that way I had it all. Of course, I forgot ginger. So now I got to go back to the store and get ginger tomorrow morning. But
don't you hate that?
I know. Thankfully, there's a grocery store right up the road, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But it just depends on your efficiency in the prepping and your shopping and your cleanup. Thankfully, my husband will step in and he'll help clean up sometimes. Yesterday, I did my ingredient and my process shots, and then today I did my heroes. So sometimes I split them up because I did biscotti. So it was okay for it to sit out overnight. It wasn't going to change shape. It wasn't going to do anything. I know, it was delicious. But I think one of my favorite things now as a photographer and doing this for just building my skills, is I look at the photos as I'm shooting. I'm like, dang, that's my picture. That looks good.
I took such a that. Good feeling.
Yeah. I send my mom a picture. Mom, look, doesn't this look good? She's like, that looks great. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's such a good feeling. So I'll take this one last question. Elaine asked, is it hard to find a blogger to work with? Do you have to go find them, or do they find you?
That's a good question. is it hard to find a blogger to work with? I think it depends on the time of year. I did talk about in August, it was kind of hard trying to find bloggers. And I think it was just, there was like a lull in the blogging world just because it was that time of year that everybody's starting to transition to the holidays and then transitioning from summer back into school. So I think it just depends on the time of year. August was the only month that I really had a hard time finding a blogger to work with or work for. September and October, or September, I had no issues. And before August, I had no issues finding a blogger. Do you have to go find them? I do post in the Pretty Focused group and the Buyers Club. I have availability. Here are some photos in my portfolio. Here's my full portfolio if you really want to look at it. But then like end of September, I had somebody that I already worked for come in and email me that random email. So once you start getting your name out there, they'll come find you too. And
So Elaine, just so you know, we have a buyers club. She mentioned the buyers club. That's where we connect our grads with bloggers. They're not like going out and scouring the internet and cold calling people. So they don't have to do that. So we're working on like continually building up this community in our buyers club with clients in there that they can connect with. And so she was able to connect with people that way and build up. And the thing now, Jade, is if you're continuing, to serve people well, this is like a continued long-term relationship, right? So I think at the very beginning, starting out with your, like, here where you are is so good. And then as you get more systems down, you know what I mean? Like you can add in more. And then next August is not, you're working with people already. It's not going to be an issue. So.
Right. And since I'm still building that clientele, I didn't have that clientele to rely on at the moment for this year. But like you said, next year for sure, once I have that clientele built, I can reach out and just say, hey, here's my availability. I'm happy to do anything, like any work right now. This is what I'm able to do. Things are still the same or changed or whatever.
Right. So, all right. Thank you so much, Jade, for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. I know everybody really enjoyed hearing your story and how you went from being a teacher to now a food photographer. You're chasing freedom and you're changing the world around you. And that's so cool to hear. And I'm so happy for you. You guys, you are going to want to be back here on Friday because I'm doing something I've never done before. I'm photographing live. Heaven help me. This is going to be so fun. But it's going to be so great to give you guys a chance to just kind of watch me photograph, ask questions, as I go. So Lenore will be here kind of going through those questions, making sure you guys get all of your questions answered. So you don't want to miss that. It's going to be actually Friday during the day because, I'm a natural light shooter. So we've got to do it during the day. Jade, thank you so much for being here. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. We really appreciate it. We'll see you guys later. Bye.